What's up, guys? Welcome back. High Side Broadcasting coming back to you guys live once again here tonight, and just pretty much decided what kind of video live stream I was gonna do kind of off the top of my head, just because I'm not really doing a whole lot right now and I'm not really getting a whole lot of suggestions from the viewers. So if you're tuning in tonight, go ahead and leave a comment just so I know who exactly is out there watching. Be nice to know who's watching, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of people tuning in once the stream's off to check it out a little bit. But if you can tell, I decided to do a live setup build. I have actually had some people request. I've done this a couple times, close to a year ago. I haven't done them for a while, but because some people want to know, because I've done setup guides, so they know, me and it was Billy Holcomb who actually helped me. He knew, you guys know our point of views of how we make the setup, and then we've given setups out, so you guys know what a lot of our setups look like. But how do you adjust those setups maybe, or how do you get to that? Where do you start? There's a lot of questions, and live setup builds actually can really help people wondering how to make setups, even better than setup guides alone. So here I am. As you can see, I already have a custom race set up, so I'm gonna go and custom qualify this. Looks to be pretty default, maybe not. You can obviously see the shocks are kind of messed up. How do you get this back to normal? I actually forget how to do that. I know there is a way to, because this is a setup that I must have made. I can tell you right now it's no good just by looking at it. If anybody's out there watching knows how to, because I've never done this before, but I know there's a way to do it. How do you get a setup like this back to normal? I know there's a button you click that gets it back to the recommended setup. I'm not sure. None of these buttons are working. If anybody knows, let me know. I'm actually not sure. There's a button you hit that'll go back to default. I really can't start from scratch if the setup isn't scratch. If anybody knows, let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and check the chat. I actually don't know how to do that. It's a great way to start, right? Okay. We're struggling. Well. Alright, so we're struggling a little bit. I'm not actually sure. I wanted to do a live setup build and kind of show you guys from scratch how I build my setups. And I get on here, right? And I guess I already have a default setup in here. I know it's no good, like I said before, just by looking at it. It must have been something I was messing around with. But I don't think the game will start you off with 56 and 55 tire pressures. And I know there is a button that you can click that should make the setup go back to default. So if anybody watching knows what that button is, I would appreciate if you could tell me that, because I can get on with the stream. Luckily I'm live streaming, we can just chill. It doesn't have to be professional or anything, so just let me know. If not, then we may either have to go to another track or I try to work around this. So if anybody knows, I'm actually not exactly sure. There should be a button I can hit somewhere, but I'm not sure. And this is definitely not a default setup, so I'm really not sure. There should be a button I can hit that makes it go back to default. Alright, well, I'll go ahead and I'll make these default. We'll just go in here, we'll throw in something stupid, because the game always starts you off with something stupid. Remember, the shocks are usually really high. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in something real stupid. Just like, because you guys know how when you first go in to make a setup, the setup's all messed up. So I'm going to go in here and mess this setup up and show you exactly how I make my setups. So what I'm putting in right now, don't actually go in here and like do anything. Because don't put this in. This is just me messing up the setup so I can start over. So you guys know. Alright. I believe this is good enough. Gears, we don't need to touch those. Alright, so we'll just say this is the default setup, right? So first what I do is I go into the setup. First thing I do is I make the shocks somewhere between 5 and 8. Usually I'll put the shocks somewhere, you know, like 5, 8, 6, 7. Because of how bumpy Atlanta is, I'm going to put a little bit more separation in the springs. Sometimes I go like 5, 6. But because Atlanta is really bumpy, I'm going to make the shocks a little bit more spread. So we'll go 5, 8 all the way down. Then, I usually start out about 52 front weight. It usually ends up higher than that. But for the front weight and for the wedge, we'll start it out at 52. Ride height's always at 4 unless you're at a road course with a lot of bumpy rumble strips. Springs for Atlanta, you can put those right up to 1200. Always good for Atlanta. We'll start at the default. We'll go like 550 on both rear springs. I usually put the tire pressures up to 60 right on the start, and then we'll adjust off of that. Matter of fact, 60 and 58 is what we'll do. We'll go 21 on both tire pressures. Cameras, I usually start a little bit high on the left and keep the right one a little bit lower. Like we'll go 3.4, we'll go 3.3 and negative 2.3. Dead even sway bar. We'll go 1350 even on the track bars. That's what we'll do. We'll leave the brake bias. I always have my steering off set to 0, though if you're on controller, don't do that. I leave the gears default right on the start. And let's go out here and see what we should be getting here. My record's a 29, oh gosh, 29.5. So, approximately what you want to be hitting here full fuel is 29.7s and 29.8s. So we're just starting, right? So, expect to be hitting low 30s, high 29s, right? This is just a base. We'll adjust on it then. We'll see how it handles. Are we loose? Are we tight? Is it shaking? You know, stuff like that. You never want to worry about the gears right on the start. You need to have a setup to work with before moving on to the gears. So, when you start, just leave the gears default. Okay, we'll go out here, we'll run a lap. This shouldn't be fast because just the way the setup is. It actually kind of ruins the video if it is fast. Because then I gotta throw in something else to adjust off of. So we'll go in here, run a lap. It actually handles decently. It's a little tight. If you can see, I pushed up a little bit right there. You might need to lift. Its rear end kicks a little bit coming off the turn. Right there, 29.867 right off the hop. I never would have expected that. Alright, so we're a little tight and we're a little loose. The front end's a little tight, the rear end's a little loose. So you probably wonder, well gee, if you loosen it up, you're going to be even looser, and if you tighten it up, you're going to be even tighter. There are things in the setup to loosen and tighten up just the front end, and loosen and tighten up just the rear end. So first off, we're a little tight in the front, right? Go up on the left track bar. We'll go up to that on the left track bar. We're a little loose in the rear, right? We'll go up on the wedge. That should tighten the front up a little bit also, which is why I went up extra on the left track bar. Oh. My bad. We'll go down 2 clicks on the rear springs, okay? We'll leave it at that. So me going down on the rear springs should tighten up the rear of the car. Me going up on the wedge should tighten up the entire car. And then me going up on the left track bar should loosen up the front of the car. So I said my front end was loose and my rear end was tight. Both of those should be fixed now because I loosened up the front end and I tightened up the rear end. So if you have any questions up to this point for people watching live, go ahead and ask me. We're going to go ahead and see if this thing is any better, or sometimes you can make an adjustment and it'll make it worse, and you got to go back on it. So if it's worse, let me adjust off of it. No big deal. If it's better, great, we're headed in the right direction. You want to drive it the exact same to get a real feel. This thing definitely feels great, actually. A little tight off still a little bit, so you still have room to go up on the track bar. This thing does feel a little bit better, but doesn't mean it'll be faster. Just remember that. An 8.17, so a very low 8 right there. This is actually extremely fast in a truck. I literally made this setup so it would be slower on purpose. I learn things every day. I'm learning right now, I'm experimenting. Tires? Alright, right there we have a problem. I am killing the right rear tire. 29,762, are you kidding me? But I am absolutely killing the right rear tire. That is actually really freaking fast. Good lord, I just surprised myself, guys. Jeez. I'm gonna go ahead and run a little bit more of this run because we are really burning up the right rear tire. It's actually starting to even up a little bit now. Jeez Louise, 29.7. That's actually really fast, guys. See, I got a little tight there towards we're getting later in the run, and I'm actually getting a little bit tighter. All I gotta do is lift a little bit, that should solve that problem. There, I got a little loose. Okay. 29,762 is our best right now. For anybody using it behind the car cam, this is what it looks like. Not great with that behind the car cam. Alright, so as you guys can see, we are destroying the right rear tire. You always want your tires to make it to the end of the run, or at least be close. You never want to be 2, 3, 4 laps short. And at the rate we're going, we got 5 laps, should switch to 4 any minute now. And we're at 19, there's 4. 4 laps and 18% on the right rear tire. So it's really fast, right? You don't want to make any adjustments to it, but you're killing your tire. So what you could do, you could go down on the right rear tire. But me, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screenshot the setup because it's fast. So anytime you have a good setup, you want to screenshot it before making any other adjustments. So what I just did is I screenshotted it, right? So next thing you want to do is, yeah, I'm still a little tight in, or actually I'm a little tight off. It gets a little loose if I over-rotate, and I'm killing the right rear tire. If you are killing the right rear tire, you know what that means? It means your car is reacting to loose. Whether it feels loose or not, the car is reacting differently. So, the car is reacting as if it is really loose. How do you fix that? Rear springs and right track bar. Now, like I said, your car is really, really fast, right? So you don't want to mess it up. Which is the exact reason I took a screenshot, right? So, there are several ways. You could go down on the rear springs, you could go down on the right track bar. I'm not a fan of doing either of those with the setup I got right now. It should, if I were to go up on the wedge, if I were to go up on the front weight, that'll tighten up just the front of the car. And then you're going to be, well, that's going to lose you speed. Not exactly. You're going to put more front weight in the car. That is automatically going to burn the right front tire a little bit more. If you were to go up on the right track bar to counteract the tightness, you're going to burn the right front more, which is what you want, because I'm burning the right rear really badly, and it's going to handle the exact same. So I'm going to go up 3 clicks on the front weight, and then I'll go up 2 clicks on the left track bar. So what that's going to do is putting more front weight in the car is going to burn the right front more and the right rear less. It's going to lose you speed. If you go up on the left track bar to counteract the front weight, you'll be right where you were at right from the start, and you fix your tire problem. Another thing you could do is go down on the right rear tire pressure or go up on the right front camber. But going up on the right front camber is going to burn your right front more. It's not going to save your right rear. So let's go out, let's see if we can make a good lap, and let's see if it fixed the tire issue, or if it's at least a little bit better. If you're still with me, let me know. And you're probably wondering why I run the high line on the start. You get a better run coming to the line. You get higher speed coming to the line, that sets you up for a better lap. You always get a better lap if you're on the high line coming to the line. Most places. If you do it at Michigan Auto Club, you won't be faster, you might even be slower. But for Atlanta, it should make you faster. Okay, so I can tell you right off the bat, it's a lot tighter. So that should save the right rear tire. Now, let's see if the lap times are still good, or if they fell off a little bit. Because you don't ever want to lose speed, but your tire wear is important. So you kind of gotta find a happy medium. Right there, 871. So we lost a little over a tenth, but you still got one more lap to run a fast lap before the tires start falling off. Notice I am full throttle. I have not left off the throttle yet. That's how you want to run Atlanta. Tires are dead even right now. Not anymore. So you see them starting to burn the right rear, but it's not as bad right now as what it was before. Right there, 774. So we virtually lost no speed. Now let's see if the tire issue's fixed. You can clearly see I'm still burning the right rear really badly, right? Later in the run, you should get tighter going into the turn, and you should get looser off. If you correct your looseness off, you won't burn the right rear so much. And because you're tight, you're going to burn the right front a little bit more. So your tires should even out throughout the run. And that's why I'm running a bunch of laps, to see if that happens. Remember, when I had 4 laps of gas last time, the right rear was at 18% and the right front was 31. So in 2 laps, we'll compare. Got 6 laps of gas, just switched to 5. We'll go one more and we'll compare the tire pressure. Last time there was a 13% difference. Let's see what the difference is this time. And remember, I lost 100, so that's virtually nothing. If I corrected my line, I could have made up that 100. Alright, so it should switch to 4. Right there, switch to 4, and we have a 10% difference. So we saved 3%. So that's a step in the right direction, correct? We'll go one more lap and see if it corrects itself or if it gets worse. Because then you just gotta keep going on that. But then you're gonna get to the point to where I can't go up on my right track bar or on my left track bar anymore. That's when you start running into issues. Which is why you gotta find a happy medium. Alright, so about a 10% difference. So we saved 3 to 4% right there. Just on that small adjustment. So that small adjustment saved us 3% on the right rear tire. Now, what did I do? I went up on the front weight, and I went up on the left track bar. I can only go up on the left track bar, let's see, 1, 2, 3 more times. That's it. So we're gonna do that. Then, we are going to go up on the front weight 3 more times. Let's go in, and our right front tire is pretty good right now, right? We'll go up 2 clicks on it. That should also help to even it out. You could always go down on your left front spring and kind of run your springs like that, but I don't do that. You gotta kind of like, if you're going to reverse your springs ever, you're pretty much going to have to change your entire setup. Because it is a big adjustment. You go from having your left front higher than your right front, and all the weight shifts to the left because you got more weight over there. And then if you reverse it, all the weight's going to be on the right. That's a big adjustment. Even 1 click, that's a big adjustment. Which, if you're going to do that, you might as well change your entire setup. Same thing with the sway bar. You want to pick a sway bar and you want to make your setup around the sway bar. Notice, I have yet to touch the sway bar. That is way too big of an adjustment. You will screw up your entire setup by messing with that. You always want to mess with the little things. The wedge, the front weight, and the track bars. The springs if you really need to, but I kind of try to leave those alone. Notice, I only made like 2, I think I went 2 clicks on the springs since we very first started. But yet I made a whole round and a half on the track bar, and I went up a lot on the front weight, and even on the wedge. So just keep track of that also. You don't want to adjust things like that. There we ran a 29.887, but remember, the second lap is typically faster than the first, unless I mess it up. Which, if that's the case, I'll do it over for you. I don't want to mess you guys up. See, there I'm getting a little tight, but yet I'm still burning the right rear tire. Right there, it was 793. So we fell off a very little bit. And once again, you can pretty much fix that with your line. If I change my lineup just a little bit, I could pick up a little bit of time. So don't always think it's the setup, oh my gosh, I lost 400ths. It must be my setup. Run a couple runs. You don't just want to, assume it's the setup, because what if you missed a line? Then it's not the setup, you made a mistake. And it happens, you go out, you make another run. And then if you keep losing time, that's when you start suspecting, well, I made a bad adjustment on the setup. And I have yet to make a bad adjustment on the setup, but it always happens. You went too high on the front weight. You went the wrong way on the spring, and you just go back in and you fix that. Alright, so look at this. We have a 4% difference on the tires right now. 4%. We went from 13 to 10 to a 4% difference right now. We run one more lap, and we'll see what the tires look like. We are making great progress and lost almost no time. Almost no time. And yet we saved our tires drastically. There, and we're also not falling off as much. I was 3 thousandths from running a 29, and I'm almost out of gas. Look at that, 4 laps of gas, and there is a 4% difference on our tires. 4%. This is the golden setup right here, guys. And how long is this video? 10-15 minutes maybe? That's all it took for me to get a golden setup. You're almost never going to have your tires completely even. You can do it, but you're going to lose a lot of speed. And it's just not worth it. I mean, look at the distance right there. It is nothing compared to when we first started. We had 31% and 19. And now it's like 4 to 5% difference. But maybe you say, we're not good enough. Well, what do? You go in here, you make more adjustments. So what was I doing? I was going up on the front weight, and I was going up on the left track bar, but track bar's maxed. I can't go up on it anymore. What do? Because the left track bar controls the front of the car, the right track bar controls the rear. The rear is where we're having a problem. So we corrected our front of the car, now we gotta correct the rear of the car. And this is where it gets confusing. The rear springs and the right track bar and the rear tire pressures control the rear of the car, right? So if you're trying to fix a problem with the rear of the car being too loose or too tight, you would think you would adjust one of those, right? I adjust the front weight. Why is that? Well, if you're burning the right rear too much, what happens if you go up on the front weight? Your right front's going to be burned more. It's going to even your tires out. So, if you go up on the front weight, once again, we're going to go up 3 more clicks. Well, now you're going to be tight. You're going to lose speed. Not so fast. Remember, we go up on the left track bar? We can't. The right track bar will do the exact same thing, just to a different area on the car. Go up 3 clicks on the right track bar. Well, we'll go 4 clicks, because this is our first time messing with the track bar. If you're still with me, let me know. If you're confused, let me know and I'll try to make you less confused. I know, setups are confusing, but I kind of have it figured out. I'm just trying to help you guys get it figured out. Alright, that was me. I got the grass. Oops. We'll go out, we'll run another run. We're good. We'll do one more run, or we'll do another run. We're good, it happens. I made a mistake. So you pretty much want to adjust the front weight and the left track bar until you can't adjust anymore. And if your car is still not good enough for you, and your left track bar is as far as it can go, which it is, it's at 15, then you start adjusting the rear track bar. It does the exact same thing, just to the rear of the car. See if we can pick up any speed. And this gear is actually a good gear set, unless you have to save gas. If you have to save gas, then yeah, you're going to need a different gear, but I don't like fuel saving. And 820 on the first lap. That's the first lap. That is our best lap on our first lap. So maybe the second one will be faster too. See right there, I got a little high. That probably messed the lap up. So 29.820, and the tires are pretty even right now. I'm a little tight and I'm a little loose. That's kind of how you want it. And 8:05, so we lost a little bit of time, but I messed up. So what do? You back out, you start over, you do another run. Instead of, oh my gosh, I lost 400ths, I gotta do something. So you say, I lost 400ths, I must adjust the setup. Well, I messed up, so it's not the setup, it's me. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do another run. Just to see. If I do another run and I'm still slower and I didn't mess up, then yes, I messed up on the setup, and it happens. You just go back on the adjustment pretty much. But if I go out here and I'm faster, that means I messed up on the previous run. Confetti, I see that you said you are confused. What exactly are you confused on? Is it the front weight and left track bar combination, or is it the front weight and right track bar combination? Is it the springs you're confused on, or what exactly are you confused on? Because I can try to sum it up for you. Setups are confusing, but the easiest way to start learning how to build a setup is to learn what everything in the setup does before trying to try tricks with it. You can't go in here and do crazy things with the front weight and the track bars if you don't know what the setup does. You need to figure out what everything in the setup does before you go trying crazy things. So if you don't know what everything in the setup does, this setup is probably a waste. Just being honest. This setup is probably a waste. This video. So you need to go, if you're trying to learn what the things in the setup does, I do have a setup guide. I have a part 1 and a part 2 setup guide up. you can go check those out. And that should tell you exactly what everything in the setup does. Wedge, higher tightens you, lower loosens you. Front weight, higher tightens you, lower loosens you. Left track bar, you go higher, it loosens the front of the car. You go lower, it tightens the front of the car. The right track bar, if you go higher, it loosens the rear of the car. If you go lower, it tightens the rear of the car. Sway bar, if you go higher on it, it tightens your car up and makes it shake a whole lot. But if you counteract that with the springs, it won't do that. And the shocks. So if you don't know what the things in the setup does, go watch that setup guide. That explains it very thoroughly. Now, to get back to this video, I ran 2 runs and I didn't get in the 7s. That means I made a mistake on the setup. So what I want to do is go back to what I had on the right track bar and go back to what I had on the front weight and start over. Go back out, do another run. So I made a mistake and I went back on it. So Confetti, I see that you said you're just learning what the things do. So, like I said, go back. I can send you probably a link to it. I have a setup guide up, a part 1 and a part 2 setup guide. Billy helped me out with it. We described what everything in the setup does, every little thing. We described the shocks, front weight, wedge. We described what the ride heights does, and the springs, and the track bars, and the gears, and you know, even steering wheel set, wheel lock chambers. Tire pressures. We described it all. We did it in a 2-part video, part 1 and part 2. So if you're trying to learn exactly what everything does, go watch that video, and that should make it a little bit more understanding to you. So I went back on my adjustment. First lap always seems to be a 29.8, which is good. Second lap is when it counts though. Remember, this is a race setup. This is not a qualifying setup. I wouldn't be worried about how good my tire wear is if it was a qualifying setup, because that wouldn't matter for a qualifying setup. Is 782, right back in the 7s. So yes, what the previous adjustment I made failed, so I went back on it, and now we're right back to where we started. So right here is pretty much the golden setup. This is pretty much perfect. Good tire wear. You could adjust the gears a little bit, but it handles great, and it's very fast. So this is what I came up with. I showed you guys exactly how I built it, step for step. And I said why I did each adjustment. I went up on the front weight. Well, why did I do that? I went up on the track bar. Why did I do that? So, hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit. And like I said, I have a setup guide up there to try to help you guys. And, I'm gonna go ahead and put the links in the live chat because you're insisting I do. I'm not sure if it'll go through. Okay, it did. Good. So the link I just sent is step 1, part 1. Or I think it's part 1. Now I'm gonna go to part 2. Yes, part 2. So go ahead, use those links, and go ahead and learn exactly what the things in the setup does. And hopefully this video helps you out. Hopefully that video will help you out. And, yep, this is the setup I came up with. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to explain why, I did what I did. So, for starters, before I get into that, hold on. I don't want to confuse anybody. So, this is the setup I came up with. I showed you guys, step for step, how I got to this setup. And I explained to you guys every step of the way why I did that. So, I started off with a crazy setup that wasn't any good. And I went to a base setup. I went out and I ran a lap. It was okay. It was a little tight. The front was tight, the rear was loose, and it burned the tires bad. So what did I do? I went up on the front weight, and I went up on the left track bar, and I adjusted the camber. And I went down on the rear springs. Didn't touch anything else. Went out, ran a fast lap, but I was still burning the right rear tire. So what did I do next? I went up higher on the front weight. I went up higher on the left track bar. I went out. It was just as fast. Now, it saved the tires 3% when I did that. So I did it again. I went up on the front weight. I went up on the left track bar. It was just as fast. And now it saved my tires another 6%. So I went from having a 13% gap to a 4 to 5% gap in the tires. Just by adjusting the front weight and the left track bar. That's it. So, let's get into the setup for this track. So it's Atlanta. The shocks 5.8, 5.8, 5.8, 5.8. Why are they 5.8? Atlanta's a very bumpy track, right? So you want your shocks to have a little bit of distance between them. Instead of having them 6 all the way down, or 6.7, 6.7, or 3.3, 3.3, or 3.4, I have them 5.8. That'll help you get over the bumps. The higher the shocks are, it should help you get over the bumps better. And then I don't have them crazy high because then you lose speed. So I have them 5.8. I have separation 5.8, 5.8. That helps you get over the bumps. Now, down here, left weight always 54.2. Front weight, that is 52.6. Why isn't it higher? Once again, the track is very bumpy. If you have high front weight, it's going to burn your right front tire, it's going to make the car shake, and you're going to lose speed. Wedge, that's a 52.3. If you have it too high, your car is going to be tight. It shouldn't make your car shake, and obviously if you're tight, you're going to lose speed. Ride heights, they're at 4. The lower the faster, period. Front springs, I have those maxed out. Believe it or not, I found that to be faster. Almost everywhere. So I put them at 1200 and I didn't end up touching them, and it's fine. The rear springs are dead even. They're at 530, as you guys can see. Why are they dead even? To keep the car stable going over the bumps. If you have them too low, obviously it'll shake. If you have them too high, it's going to be uncontrollable. But the reason they're even and they don't have 40 or 50 pounds between each spring is to keep them even over the bumps and to keep them steady. If you have the springs too separated, it's either going to be really loose or really tight, depending on which spring is higher. If the right is higher than the left, you're going to be loose. If the left is higher than the right, you're going to be tight. So if you have them dead even, it should make your car smooth. Left side tire pressures, I have those at 21 because I don't want them high, because the higher they are, the more your right tires are going to burn. So I have those lower to save the right side tires. The right side tires are 1658 because obviously if they're higher, they're going to be faster. I have the cambers at where they're at because it was good for tire wear. Dead even front sway bar, it's just where I decided to put it at, and I haven't adjusted it since. I have the track bars. I can't really explain this, you'd have to go back and watch this video. I have the track bars 15 and 1363. They were working with the front weight a lot, the front weight and the wedge. The track bars work with the front weight and the wedge a lot, they counteract each other. So I have the track bars where they're at because the front weight and the wedge is 52.6, 52.3. I can't really explain that. If you go back and watch the video, you'll see. Brake bias, drill tape, wheel lock. I mean, drill tape's at 45 because I don't want it to overheat. Brake bias is at 73 because I don't want it to be wrecking under braking. And wheel lock's at 5 because that's good for me. Steering offset's at 0, makes it faster, and I have the default gears. And I'm sure you guys are confused because I'm pretty much confusing myself. If you watch from the beginning of this video till I made my final adjustment, you should understand better. If you go by what I've been saying the last 5 minutes, you're probably going to be confused because I didn't explain it well. But hopefully this setup helps you, and hopefully you guys can go back. You guys should be able to go back, watch the video, see how I got to this. So then you don't, oh well, here's the setup, how'd you get there? I showed you every step and explained every step. So go back and watch that. If you don't know what the things in the setup does, go back and watch my setup guide videos. They were about 5 months ago from when this video is being made. So you can go in there and watch that and hopefully learn a little bit about the setups. I hope this helped. Peace out.